Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today I'm going to give y'all some anticipated releases of the second half of 2024. Now, last year I've already made a video regarding 40-ish anticipated releases for 2024, but at that time I only had enough releases for like the first half of the year. I only had a select few for the second half of the year. But now that we're pretty much around the middle of 2024 right now, I'm like, oh, I'm starting to find some more titles for the second half of the year, even closer to like December. So I figured, you know what, let's make it like a part 2 to that particular video. So that's what I'm here for. I do have a lot of the synopses for these books, but am I going to read y'all all these synopses? No, because we're going to be here forever if I go through every single book synopses, because we have over 40 books to talk about. We're just going to go about age category, genre, and then maybe something that intrigued me from the synopsis itself, so that y'all, if y'all are curious, y'all can learn more about the books and also know when these books are coming out. I think that's all the preamble I have for y'all, and let's just get right into it. So for summer 2024, I think this is the ones I have the most of anticipated releases. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my laptop here for all the anticipated releases. Let's just get right into it. So for June 4th, which pretty much as I'm recording came out last week, I am very much looking forward though to getting a copy of Blessings by Chukwu Ibuka Ibe. This is a queer literfic adult novel, and again, the only thing I know about is just pretty much showing like a very much realistic portrayal of like being a queer person in Nigeria. It's definitely my most anticipated release. I'm always here to support books written by Nigerian authors, so yeah, that's why I'm just like, I must read, but I have to wait into my library. Next, I have Dancers of the Dawn by Zulika Afzal. I think that's how you pronounce the author's name. This is a YA fantasy. It seems like a standalone. It comes out June 11th. So it says here it's about something about a dancer, but really you're an executioner. So I guess it's like the world of like dancers that use magic through dance, but you also can kill people, I guess? I don't know. I was just curious about this one. I like the cover, and I'm here to try out some more YA fantasy novels, especially since I think this is also a debut. The next book here is for June 18th, which I think I've already mentioned this before, but it's The Unrelenting Earth by Kritika H. Rao. This is the sequel to The Surviving Sky, which I read last year. This is a queer sci-fi fantasy book, and it just follows the events from the end of book 2. So I can't really say too much about this one, but I do recommend trying out this series. It's called the Rages Trilogy, and yeah, I'm very much really looking forward to getting the audiobook because I do recommend the audiobook as well. Next, we have Rakesfall by Vajra Chandra Sekhara. This one I already have an e-arc for, and I did pre-order the audiobook as well, so I'm already pretty much looking forward to this book already. And I will be reading this book pretty soon. This is queer, literary, sci-fi, standalone, again, sci-fi, from the same author of The Saint of Bright Doors. Yeah, honestly, I don't know much about it, but I do like the cover, even though it's a really bright color on the cover. Very bright, but I don't know. The cover really made me intrigued to even try this book out. So yeah, I'm glad I have the e-arc, so I will be reading that pretty soon. And I also have the audiobook, so even if I don't get through the e-arc, at least I have the audiobook on hand as well. So either way, y'all gonna know my thoughts on this book hopefully soon than later. And then I have my most anticipated release coming out June 18th. Little Ride by Akwaeke Emezi. Hello, I already pre-ordered this book. All I know, this is a literary fiction book that's following, I think, multiple characters. I don't really quite remember the synopsis. I'm even looking at the synopsis and I'm like, do I even want to know? 5 friends trying to outrun and outmatch a powerful underground world. Do I need to know more? Generally, I don't think there's more I need to know. And then for the final book for June, coming out June 25th, is Saints of Storm and Sorrow by Gebra Buba. This is another debut novel. This is a queer fantasy, so it's a fiercely imaginative Filipino-inspired fantasy debut. A bisexual non-hiding and goddess-given gift is unwillingly transformed into a lightning rod for her people's struggle against colonization. I mean, that's already good enough as it is. And also says perfect for fans of lush fantasy full of morally ambiguous characters, including the Poppy War and the Jasmine Throne. Now next, we're going to get into the July releases, which apparently I have some July releases. Let's see, first up we have Masquerade by Oo Songuyomi. This one I already have an ALC actually from Macmillan Audio, so I'm very much looking forward to reading this one, and I will be reading this one pretty soon since it literally comes out July 2nd. So y'all will be knowing my thoughts about this book pretty soon as well. So this is a dazzling lyrical tale of the true cost of one woman's fight for freedom and self-discovery in a patriarchal society, and the length she'll go to secure her future, set in a wonderfully reimagined pre-colonial West Africa. And I think it's also loosely based or inspired by Persephone. Very much curious about this one. It says here it's historical fantasy, although I have heard from one person who has read this one and reviewed it that it's not as fantastical, it's more historical fiction. But I'm gonna believe that there is something fantastical here, so I don't know where the fantasy is. Next up is The Coin by Yasmin Zahir. This is coming out July 9th. This is an adult contemporary lit fic book. And I actually recently heard about this one because from Audrey from Perpetual Pages. They were talking about this book for their anticipated releases. And it says here it's a bold and unabashed novel about a young Palestinian woman's unraveling far from home, and she gets caught up in a scheme reselling Birkin bags. Kind of weird. I'm like, wait, how did you get caught up in a scheme like that? I don't even know, but I don't know. It seemed interesting. It seems a little weird, and I actually kind of like the cover for it, honestly. It's not bad of a yellow. Then next up is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This is an adult fantasy romance. This one I'm also getting from Macmillan Audio as well, which comes out July 9th, so y'all also will get some thoughts from me about this particular book pretty soon as well. So this says here it's a cottagecore cozy fantasy following a woman's unsuspected journey through the low-stakes market of illegal spell selling and the high-risk business of starting over. Perfect for fans of Travis Baldry. Okay, I mean, I did access of Macmillan Audio to try this out because I want to see maybe, just maybe, if a fantasy romance could really work for me. So far, I've been striking out. We shall see about this one. Let's see, next book also coming out July 9th is Toward Eternity by Anton Hurd. It's an adult queer sci-fi speculative novel. If you heard of Anton Hurd, if like that name is familiar, Anton Hurd is a translator. He has translated several novels, and now he has his own novel. So it says here, negotiating the terrain of Kizuko Ishiguro's Clara in the Sun and Emily St. John Mandel's Sea of Tranquility. A brilliant, haunted, speculative novel from Anton Hurd that sets out to answer the question, what does it mean to be human in a world where technology is quickly catching up to biology? So I am very much looking forward to this one since... Sorry, I just got distracted by a creepy collie. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, right. Very much curious to read this one. Actually, very excited actually to kind of read this one because I have heard of Anton Hurd's like translations and his work. 3 translations, and I want to give something that's just that he's written himself a shot. I don't know. And also I'm here for queer sci-fis. Next up, I think it's actually a lot of people have heard of that this book is coming out pretty soon since the author is pretty popular, but it is The Seventh Veil of Saloum by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is an adult historical fiction. Comes out July 16th. This is about a young woman who wins the role of a lifetime in a film about a legendary heroine, but the real drama is behind the scenes in this sumptuous historical epic. So yeah, I don't know. It's another one of Silvia Moreno Garcia regarding film. I think the other one was Silver Nitrate, but that was horror. This one's just historical fiction. I have yet to read anything by Silvia Moreno Garcia, so this one I'm just more curious about, not quite as excited for it, since I haven't read anything else by her yet. But I don't know, this one just seemed interesting. I do get very curious regarding anything regarding film industry and books. I don't know, I want to give this a shot. And also, I really like the cover. And then for July 23rd, the final book we have here for July that I'm looking forward to is In the Shadow of the Fall by Toby Okondiran. This one is an adult fantasy novella, and it's actually the first book in a series. I don't know this is like a trilogy of novellas or just a duology of novellas, but I'm looking forward to it. It says here it's a cosmic war reignites and the fate of the rich shall lie in the hands of an untried acolyte in this first entry of a new epic fantasy novella duology. Oh, for fans of N.K. Jemisin and Suyi Davis Onkoboa. Sounds pretty good. Now, let's just get into pretty much the August releases. I have a lot. I have The Dead Cat Tail Assassins by P.J. Clark. I think I've mentioned this book a lot of times because I already have an e-arc for it and I still have not yet read it yet. But it does come out August 6th. It's an adult fantasy novella. I don't know, we just follow a main character who's an assassin for some reason. I don't know. I have the synopsis like right here. Am I going to read that thing? No, because it's a novella. It'll give out too much. And I'm not trying to say too much. I don't want to read too much. I'm going to wait until I get to my e-arc. Next up, This Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings. This one I've been seeing a lot of buzz in Bookstagram because I think the author is a Bookstagrammer. So I'm also kind of curious for that. It's a YA queer historical fantasy. It's the first book in a series. It says here's a duology. So this is the first book in a fantasy duology set in jazz age Harlem where at night the dance halls come to life and death awaits in the dark. Yep, and I think it's also sapphic. as well. So yeah, that's all I really need to know, because do I need to know more? Not really. You see another book that's also coming out in August 6th, The Truth According to Amber by Danica Nava. So this is adult contemporary romance, and I think this is the first romance novel written by an Indigenous person that follows an Indigenous person that's also being published by a big 5 publisher. Yes, I think that's what it is. There's a lot of firsts for this novel, which is also what made me really, really excited to check it out, because we need more romance novels written by Indigenous people that follows Indigenous people loving another Indigenous person. So yeah, this one comes out August 6th, and it's just here that this follows a Chickasaw woman who can't catch a break, stirs up a little white lie that snowballs into much more in this witty and irresistible rom-com by this debut author. Yeah, I am very much looking forward to this one. The next book here is also coming out August 6th, and it is Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. So I think I've already mentioned how much I've been really looking forward to this one from my other anticipated releases video. So yeah, it's an adult historical fantasy novel that's pretty much like a reimagining of Macbeth, but we're following Lady Macbeth basically. And it says here, perfect for fans of Circe and Wolf Hall. Never read Circe, never heard of Wolf Hall, but if y'all heard of those titles, there's fans for that. And it's definitely my most anticipated release because I've now read everything by Ava Reid so far, and I want to give this one a shot. Okay, now we're finally out of the August 6th releases. We're finally on August 13th with Ghostsmith by Nikki Powell Preto. This is the sequel to Bonesmith. This is YA fantasy. I don't really have much else to say about this one. That's not really spoilery to the first book. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to reading this sequel now. Next up for August 13th, we have The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Ifueko. This is a YA fantasy romance set in the same world as the Ray Rare duology. This is definitely one of my most anticipated releases, since I've actually found out this a few months ago actually, even though I still have yet to actually finish reading the Ray Rare duology as I'm recording. So I didn't really actually look too much into the actual synopsis, just in case. Do I really care? No, because I trust Jordan Ifueko's writing. Next up we have Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This one also comes out August 13th. This is an adult queer fantasy. I think it's something to do with vampires. Yep, there's Vampire Court. Yep, there you go. Court of the Vampire King. Okay, yep, there you go. Vampires. Don't know anything else. That's it. Next up is Asunder by Kristen Hall. This one is an adult fantasy book. This comes out August 20th. So it seems we have something to do with eldritch creatures. That's it. That's all I really know, and that's pretty much all I really understand from the synopsis at a glance right now. I'm just very curious to try this one out. I do like the cover. I've heard about this one though because I think Jan from Jan Agaton, I think she was either interested in or she got an arc of it. I don't really remember, but the way that she talked about it made it very interesting, and now we have an actual official cover for it, so I'm very much curious to give this one a shot. Now this next book here is actually is a self-published book, but I've heard of this one. I think it was Audrey from Perpetual Pages that mentioned this book, but it's Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes. This is adult romance. This one, I think according to, at least on Storygraph anyways, it says August 25th. All I know is that this is pretty much find 2 gay fat men who fall in love in the woods. Yep, cozy summer romance with low angst and high heat. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to give this one a shot, and also it seems pretty short as well, as like literally less than 200 pages, which seems like the perfect length for someone who wants to just read a quick romance. And the next one is definitely a highly anticipated release for me, and that is Amari and the Despicable Wonders by B.B. Allison. This is the 3rd book in the Supernatural Investigation series, and this one comes out August 27th. I'm not gonna say much about the synopsis either because I'm pretty sure it does spoil the other 2 books. So I've already read Amari and the Night Brothers, Amari and the Great Game, so I'm so excited for Amari and the Despicable Wonders. I have no idea if this is the last Amari book. I don't know how many books are meant for this series at all. But if this ends up being the final book, I'm gonna be sad, but that's okay. It is what it is. All right, that is pretty much all the summer 2024 releases. I really had a lot of releases to talk about. But anyways, let's actually just get to the fall 2024 releases. I don't have really a lot here, and I only have the first 2 months of fall for this one. I only have a few September and October ones. I have nothing for November. I don't know what's going on with November 2024, but there's literally nothing at this upcoming November that I know of, that anyone knows of at this point anyways, that I'm looking forward to reading. So first up for September, we have Compound Fracture by Andrew Joseph White. Comes out September 3rd. Another anticipated release for me, mostly anticipated actually. And I already have an e-arc from Peachtree Teen, so I think I've already mentioned about this book multiple times. I don't remember if I did. But this is a YA queer thriller, if you're wondering. That I think takes place in the Appalachian like mountain range area that pulls no punches for teens who sees the failure of our world and are pushing for radical change. Sounds good. Sounds like just like what I expect from an Andrew Joseph White book. Also coming out on September 3rd is Immortal Dark by T.J. Jerma. This one, I didn't look too much into the synopsis for, but I do have that. It says here it has the comparison titles of The Cruel Prince meets Ninth House. In this dangerously romantic dark academia fantasy where a lost heiress must infiltrate an arcane society and live with a vampire she suspects killed her family and kidnapped her sister. That sounds very, very interesting to me now. First of all, vampires. Second, dark academia fantasy. I'm very much interested in this book, although I'm not totally sure about the Cruel Prince Ninth House comparison, but then again, book comparisons are really meant to be looked at face value, so I'm just going to look at it very much in face value. Now, next up, we have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. This one comes out September 17th. This is adult queer fantasy, a lush and enthralling fantasy standalone where a sharp-tongued folklorist must pair with her academic rival to solve her mentor's murder. Sunshine, grumpy, academic rivals to lovers romance, and a sapphic, we have a Jewish-coded protagonist in a world that's inspired by German folklore with a combo of dark whimsy and acerbic wit. Now, this other book here, I'm not totally sure how excited I am, but I am definitely pretty curious about this one. Also comes out September 17th. This one is A Sunny Place for Shady People Stories by Marina Enriquez. So this is the same author as Our Sheriff Knight and The Dangers of Spoken in Bed and some other short story collections. So this is another short story collection. This one's regarding horror. And yeah, I don't really know too much about this particular short story collection. And honestly, I don't think you really need to know too much about it. I think it just has a lot of like weird literary and horrifying short stories. I don't know. I don't really know. I've never read anything by Mariana Enriquez before, so can't really say much about prose or what I expect, but I want to at least give it a shot, and I want to let people know who are fans, or maybe people are curious, just to let y'all know that there's another short story coming out from this author. Okay, so for September 24th, we have Graveyard Shift by Emma Reel. This is the same author as If We Were Villains, which I did read, I think 2 years ago, and I did really enjoy it. So I'm actually very much looking forward to another book by her, and this is a thriller. So it follows a ragtag group of night shift workers who meet in the local cemetery to unearth the secrets lurking in an open grave. So there's like a modern gothic tale, which I am here for. And then this other book here that also comes out September 24. I'm not sure if I'm going to be reading this one, but a lot of people are pretty excited about this one, and it's Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. So yes, Sally Rooney has another book coming out. This is another contemporary lit fic book. This one follows, I think, brothers. Again, it takes place in Ireland, specifically Dublin, and I think it has to do with regarding their father's death and how they both handle that death in regard to their grief. So it's like grief, love, and family. That's pretty much it. I think I'm a little bit more curious about this one though than her other ones. Even though I am still pretty curious though about Normal People. And also I really like the cover. It's very much chess-like. But yeah, one of the brothers is a chess player, so I won't be surprised if there's a lot of chess involved in this book, since it's so much into like the cover. Let's see, now we're going to get to our October releases. Now there is an October release that I think there was a release from my original anticipated releases video that I did mention, but I did not know at the time that would be a St. Lawrence Press title. So while we have an official release date and a cover for that book, I'm not going to be talking about the book here, unfortunately. It does come out in October, but I'm not going to talk about it here because it is a St. Lawrence Press title. If you know what the book is, good, but please don't mention it too much to other people right now because we're still going on this boycott, y'all. We're still on it. Anyway, there's another book though that's coming out October 1st, and that's Model Home by River Solomon. Yes, the same author as An Unkindness of Ghosts, The Deep, and one of my favorite books of all time, Sorrowland. So this one's a horror thriller, and this is actually about a haunted house story. That River Solomon plans to turn this haunted house story on its head, unearthing the dark legacies of segregation, racism, in the suburban American South. And it says here, story of secret histories uncovered and of a queer family battling their rights to live, grieve, and heal amid the terrors of contemporary American life. I do expect something from River Solomon that's going to turn something that we're used to seeing over and over again and definitely flip it on regarding its head. And in fact, I do have an e-arc for this book, so y'all will be hearing about my thoughts on this one in a few months' time, hopefully. Also, another book that's also coming out in October 1st is The City in Glass by Niveau. This is another like fantasy novella, but it's not set in the Seek and Heal cycle at all. It's a completely standalone novella as well, and it says here The City in Glass is both both a brilliantly constructed history and an epic love story of death and resurrection, memory and transformation, redemption and desire strong enough to burn a world to ashes and build it anew. So I'm very much excited for this one. First of all, I love the cover. Like, look, y'all, look at this cover. This cover is gorgeous, okay? I need to request the e-arc from Tor, and Tor, please give the arc to me because I need to read it. In fact, I should have already requested it, but you know what? That's okay. It's fine. We're gonna come back to it. I am gonna be requesting it, and trust and believe, when I request it and I read it, y'all be the first ones who will know. So next up for October 8th, we have Sword Cross by Freya Marske. So this is the same author as the Last Binding trilogy. This is another queer fantasy romance, and I think this one's a standalone. So it says here it's the cozy low stakes of Legends of Lattes meets the scorching bodyguard fantasy of JLA's From Blood and Ash, and this enemies to lovers romance where, yes, the swords do cross. Who knows in regards if I'll get to this one, but I don't know if any of y'all are curious. Freya Marske has another book coming out. Okay, this book I have mentioned, I think, in my Evocation reading vlog, which is Odd Spirits by S.D. Gibson. October 8th, queer fantasy urban romance. It's the prequel to Evocation for this series. Okay, and then also for October 8th as well, we have Blood of the Old Kings by Sung Il Kim. And this one's translated by Anton Her. This one I also have as an e-arc actually, and it's an adult fantasy. This is an epic journey. So this is like an epic fantasy written by a Korean author. So yes, I want to give this one a shot. I don't know. I think what drew me into this book, not only for the cover, because honestly the cover is really cool, but is regarding the fact that we have an empire that's running on necromancy, which I love anything regarding the necromancies. I think it's something regarding a dragon, which I think is in the cover. So there's that. Oh, we have swords. There's something with swords, necromancy, dragons. I'm just really excited for it. I have no idea what to really expect from this. And then another book that's coming out October 8th. Why do I have so many? I have a lot of October releases than I thought. Now this one is another adult queer fantasy, and this is a debut novel. It's called Shoestring Theory by Mariana Costa. This one is a queer madcap friends to lovers to enemies to lovers time travel romance with the future of the world at stake, and this charming fantasy tale is sure to sci-fi fans of Legends and Lattes. So very much a cozy, low stakes, queer fantasy that has a romance. I mean, seriously, friends to lovers to enemies to lovers, that's a lot. But I don't know, that might make it a lot more fun. I don't know if I really will love it, but I am curious. Who knows? And also has a cat on the cover, and I don't know, I think it looks cool. Now another book that's also coming in October, specifically October 15th, is And the Sky Bled by S. Hetty. This one is actually a book from, it's an imprint of Bindery actually, which I did pre-order. I am very much curious to read this one, especially since it's a standalone. So this is an adult fantasy, and I think it's like regarding a climate fantasy. This is climate fantasy. We're following 3 different people, and because there's a city ruled by colonizers, we have 3 rivals, a thief, slumlord, and an heiress that race to find a hidden cache of magic that will decide the city's fate. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this one. I'm very much looking forward to anything regarding Bindery and see just the quality of books and how they market their books. And like, I don't really know necessarily quite fully how it works, but this one I specifically pre-ordered because it just sounded way more up my alley that I'd be more interested in purchasing more than anything. So I am just curious to see on really how a book that's going to be published from an imprint of Bindery Press is going to work. Now the other book that's also coming from an imprint of Bindery Press is Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris. This is another debut novel. I think it's also a standalone. So this is an adult queer historical fantasy romance. So it says here, in this freshly yet familiar gothic tale, part historical fantasy, part puzzle box mystery, the worlds of Dracula and Sherlock Holmes collide in a thrilling exploration of feminine power. So there's the dawn of the 20th century in Paris. We follow the daughter of Dracula's killer, who works as a researcher in a Royal Society of some sort of abnormal phenomenon, but she is also weird herself. She is a channel into the mind of monsters. And then we have this person that's assigned herself to a case with someone who's the daughter of a criminal mastermind and famed nemesis of Sherlock Holmes. And then there's a romance between those two. So pretty much it's a romance. We have like this weird mystery romance between Dracula's killer and Sherlock Holmes' nemesis. So that's interesting in and of itself. So yeah, it's sapphic, y'all. I'm here for it. Okay, y'all, we're almost done. We're almost done with these October releases. October 29th, we have Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This is a young adult queer horror, but I think it's a debut YA horror novel. Something about the woods. That's all I really know. I don't really know else I don't really know much, and I'm not trying to read too deeply into the synopsis right now. I'm always here for trying out some YA queer horror, so yeah. I also like the cover. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the fall releases. Next up, though, we have early winter 2025. I don't know. Anything regarding winter 2025 is always a little bit finicky because sometimes this could easily change into like 2020, to like actually 2025, but whatever. So early 2025 just pretty much means that these are December 2024 releases. And I only have 3. So the first book I have for December 3rd actually, is Private Rights by Julia Armfield. Is the same author as Our Wives Under the Sea, which I have not read yet. But this one is a queer, literary speculative adult novel. This is actually a reimagining of King Lear, which I've never read the original play, but I watched in a play performance in high school. I don't really remember what the play is even about, but I do remember at least having a good time watching the play. And I don't know, this one is just following sisters who navigate queer love and loss in a drowning world, because I think it's about their father who died? I think their father died, right? I don't remember. I don't know if their father died, but we're following 3 sisters and their lives, basically. I don't know. I heard really good things about Julia Armfield's writing from Our Wives Under the Sea, and I want to give Private Rights a shot. Just gonna try it, okay? We're just gonna try it. Also, I like the cover. Speaking of covers, this next book does not even have a cover yet. And it's interesting too, because originally it was slated for January 2025, but then got pushed up to December instead. So it comes out December 10th instead. So this is Hamajang Luck by Makana Yamamoto. This one is adult queer sci-fi. It also does give it like a definition of Hamajang, because I've never heard of this one. I never heard of this word. So Hamajang, which is an adjective, and it means in a disorderly or chaotic state. So, or something messed up. And its etymology, it says, is borrowing from the Hawaiian pigeon. I think the author is Hawaiian. So this is pretty much a queer sci-fi book that's pretty much inspired by Hawaii. I don't know if it's like supposed to be specifically set in Hawaii. It doesn't seem exactly that. No, I think we're somewhere in space. I don't know. It says here it's Ocean's 8 meets Blade Runner in this trailblazing debut science fiction novel and a swashbuckling love letter to Hawaii about being forced to find a new home and striving to build a better one. Unmissable for fans of Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir and Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I mean, I didn't even know about these comparison titles beforehand, but like, that sounds way up my alley. I love Six of Crows, and I really had a good time with Gideon the Ninth. In fact, I love both of these series. So if there's any comparison regarding that, or just for fans of people who like those books, I'm gonna try this one. And it's also a debut, so I'm gonna give this a shot anyways, because why not? Nonetheless, but certainly not least, we finally have the release date of the sequel of Iron Widow, Heavenly Tyrant by Jiren Zhao. It comes out Christmas Eve, December 24th. YA sci-fi. Fantasy, I think. Now, it could change, but I'm hoping it doesn't change because I don't think any of us wants it to keep changing. Now, I do need to reread Iron Widow because it's definitely been a while since I've read it originally. I read it, I think, when it first came out. So I'm going to need to do a reread before I even get to this book. So I can't really say anything regarding the synopsis because it spoils the first book. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to this one. And I know a lot of people are excited for this one too. So I can now tell y'all that there is finally a release date that I think is supposed to stick. But yeah, that's it. That's all our early winter 2025 releases, which is really December releases. And that's pretty much it as far as the 40 plus books that I'm anticipating for the second half of 2024. I do hope to at least get through some of these books. I already have some of these books as far as e-arcs or ALCs, or maybe there'll be an option for me to get them as an ALC from publishers. We shall see, or arcs or what have you. But I am indeed very much excited to finally get to these books since they seem so exciting, and I've already pre-ordered a couple of them, so y'all get to know about my thoughts about them hopefully a lot sooner than later. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I do hope that now you all know about these books and the release dates, y'all can place some holds on them through your library or request them from your library if they don't have it already. If you want to pre-order, do whatever you got if y'all are interested in reading it. So again, thank you all for watching this video. Like if you like it, comment down below what are y'all's what books are y'all anticipating for the second half of this year? Anything that I've said in this video, do y'all have any books outside of this video? Because like, I can always add more. I can really add more books to my anticipated releases. Even if I'm just curious about it, I'll add more to it. Now, if you made it this far into the video and you don't have much to say, you don't have any anticipated releases, you just want to leave me an emoji, leave me a book stacking emoji, because I think I just added a lot of books to y'all's TBRs. But anyways, thank you all again for coming on to this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!